Once upon a time, in the early 1800s, there was a beautiful mother named Elisa who lived with her daughter in a cozy little house on Rochester, New York. Elisa worked as a librarian at the local public library while her daughter attended the nearby elementary school. Their days were filled with simple joys, books together in her sun-drenched living room, tending to the small vegetable garden in the backyard, and taking long walks in the park on weekends. Elisa was a gentle soul, always patient and kind, with a warm smile that could brighten even the gloomiest of days. Her daughter was a bright 8-year-old with a mop of curly brown hair, inherited her mother's love for stories, and often spent hours lost in imaginary worlds. She was a curious child, always asking questions and seeking to understand the world around her. One crisp autumn morning, as golden leaves drifted lazily from the trees lining the street, Elisa took her daughter to the Durant Eastman Park for a wonderful mother-daughter play date. They spent all day at the park, and after the sun went down, and as nightfall came, it was time for them to go home. But her daughter wanted to check out Lake Ontario. So with some hesitation, she let her daughter check out the lake, keeping an eye on her as she went. As her daughter skipped towards the lake's edge, Lisa felt a sudden chill that had nothing to do with the autumn air. The moon cast an eerie glow on the water's surface, creating rippling shadows that seemed to dance and twist. Her daughter's laughter echoed across the empty beach, but sounded distant and distorted. Elisa lost sight of her daughter in the falling darkness. She began to walk toward the last place she had seen her child. Elisa quickened her pace, and an inexplicable sense of urgency began gripping her heart. "Sweetie, it's getting late. We should head back," she called out, her voice wavering slightly, but her daughter didn't respond. So Elisa took another step forward. "Honey?" she repeated, but again, no response. So she took another step forward, and then another. Her heart began pounding in her chest. Her daughter was nowhere to be found, like she had vanished without a trace. Panic seized Elisa as she frantically scanned the shoreline, her eyes darting from shadow to shadow. "Sweetie!" she cried out, her voice echoing across the empty lake. The only response was the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. Her heart racing, Elisa sprinted towards the water's edge, her feet sinking into the damp sand. The moon's reflection shimmered on the lake's surface, broken by ripples that seemed to whisper secrets just beyond her comprehension. She waded into the shallows, the icy water numbing her legs as she searched desperately for any sign of her daughter. Nothing but the silence of the night air. Elisa rolled around, hope flaring in her chest. "Honey?" she called out, her voice trembling. "Please," she whispered, her voice hoarse with fear. "Please be hiding somewhere." But only silence answered her desperate plea. The wind picked up, rustling through the trees, and carrying with it a haunting whisper, sent shivers down Elisa's spine. she stumbled back onto the shore, her soiled clothes clinging to her trembling body. Tears streamed down her face as she frantically searched the beach, calling her daughter's name over and over until her voice grew hoarse. The moonlight cast long, twisted shadows across the sand, playing tricks on her eyes. Every ripple in the water, every rustle in the bushes made her leap with a mixture of hope and dread. As the night wore on, Elisa's panic gave way to a numbing despair. She collapsed onto the sand, her mind reeling with possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. Had her daughter wandered off into the woods? Had she been swept away by an unseen current? Was there actually foul play? Worse, to someone that may have been stalking them, took their chance of kidnapping her daughter without her noticing? There were too many questions in her mind that she could not answer, wondering where her little girl was. Heartbroken, grieved, and with no hope, she took her own life by walking into the depths of Lake Ontario. The cold enveloped her, numbing her senses as she sank deeper and deeper. In her final moments, Elisa thought she heard her daughter's laughter echoing beneath the waves, calling. Years passed, and the tragic tale of Elisa and her vanished daughter became local legend. Whispers of a ghostly woman in white searching the shores of Lake Ontario for a lost child spread through Rochester. Some claim to hear a child's laughter on moonlight nights, while others report seeing a pale figure wading into the water wherever sinking one was lost. She was now called the Lady in White, who wanders around the area of Durand Eastman Park, mourning for her lost child. She seeks revenge for the loss of her beautiful daughter. The legend of the Lady in White grew over the decades, becoming a cautionary tale for children and a source of fascination for ghost hunters and thrill seekers alike. Many dismissed it as mere folklore, a story concocted to explain the eerie atmosphere that sometimes settled over Durand Eastman Park on foggy nights. But for those who lived near the lake, the legend held a kernel of truth that couldn't be ignored. On certain nights, when the moon hung low and full over the water, locals swore they could hear the faint sound of a woman's desperate cries carried on the wind. Some even claimed to have seen a pale, ethereal figure walking along the shoreline, a long white dress billowing behind her as she searched endlessly for her lost child. The legend of the Lady in White grew with each passing year, becoming a staple of local ghost stories and urban myths. Teenagers dared each other to visit the lake at night, hoping to catch a glimpse of the spectral figure. Some returned tales of eerie whispers carried on the wind, while others swore they saw a pale form drifting through the mist. The lady in white will be forever roaming, looking for her lost child in Rochester, New York. The Durant Eastman Park. Which is called White Lady's Castle. The 1988 movie, The Lady in White, was inspired by this urban legend. It is such a great movie, and if y'all have not seen this movie, I would suggest watching it. So, if you ever go to Rochester, New York, or if you live there, and if you want to find the Lady in White, beware your surroundings, and make sure to listen with both your ears for the morning cries of a woman wearing all white. Because you may never know, you will run into the Lady in White.